Hello there. It's October, the time when the gates to the other world open, and I once more embrace the dark side to keep you in the light. Once more, we return to graphic adventures for the Spectrum 48K. Come with me. How can you tell me you're lonely, and to me you won't subscribe? Let me take you by the hand and lead you into Nightmare Park. I'll show you something that'll make you shit with fear.
Before you can play any type-in games, the first thing you need to do is to type them in. And this can take a bit of time and a bit of concentration. So it's not something to do while you're doing something else. You have to set the book up on a nice, convenient wooden stand, which I've got and peg it into place, plenty of light, and then put your headphones on and then just crack on with it. I've put a little timer at the top of the screen, as you'll see zooming around, seeing what's going on. You have to choose the keywords. I could have made it a bit better by typing in on the 128 8K mode, but I don't like doing that. Some of the lines you type in are rather long. If you notice, the timer here is ticking up a lot faster because I've sped up the clock. Line 9 took me a good 2 minutes to type in just one line. It involves lots of character string. When you see character string, that involves pressing the scroll lock key and then the letter U to get character string. And then you have to type more, keep more things in. These are various graphics characters. Also make sure you have the right number of spaces because you want things to line up nicely. This sets up the data for the sign at the start. Here we're setting up the basic maze of the game, which involves user-defined graphics, which in the book are lowercase m, clearly marked user-defined graphics, but you have to type in the correct number of graphics and spaces. It's not helped by the fact that in the book, the lines are not 32 characters wide, but in fact a bit longer, so it makes it extra tricky. You just have to count the characters. Another danger is inadvertently typing the wrong line number in. So here I meant to type line 88, I start typing 8. If I hadn't noticed that, I would replace line 8 with something a lot shorter. Line 8 was already 3 or 4 lines long. Fortunately, I spotted this grievous error. I have done this in the past. I've done it for the shootout game with the Cowboys for one of the very long lines, and it's an absolute pig to do. So always have to be aware. I generally type things in wearing headphones, so I can hear the click. I've now just for the interest of see how these things grow, I've increased the speed by something like nearly 10,000% because typing the game as a whole took about an hour and a quarter. And I still had a few errors once I actually typed it in. But you just have to keep going, put some music on, have a cup of coffee, and when you get a bit tired, as the Usborne books say, have a bit of a rest. And then once you're ready, you're then ready to go. So in the book, it was about 10.5 pages, so not as bad as some of them. James Mead's machine code game was pages and pages of just numbers. So after all that typing in, I've saved it to tape. We're now going to load from tape, and I'm going to explain what on earth the game is. Because it is the very last game in Graphic Adventures for the Spectrum 48K by Richard G. Hurley for Micropress. This is the book that gave me my highest rated video ever, James Mead's 3D Maze. This is game number 7, which introduces the technique of random numbers, which we've seen before, really. But we've had a few good games in this book. House of Adventure, Super Tank, Dragon, 3D Maze, Quadraland, Dungeons and Demons, and finally, Nightmare Park. So, you think you're pretty good at solving adventures after playing all the other games in this book? Well, if that's the case, then try this one for size. In your wanderings around some deep, dark cavern, you stumble across a sign. This is Nightmare Park. Enter at your own risk. Keep to the path. Well, being an adventurer of the highest caliber, this is a challenge not to be refused. So put your best foot forward and step into Nightmare Park. Hints on entry. The entry of Nightmare Park is very straightforward. Yeah, it was, to be fair. Apart from the lines of graphics, which are these, the only difficulty is the lines regarding the carnivorous caterpillar. So, we start on the left by the arrow. We are the little man. We can clearly see the path, and on the right-hand side, directly in front of us, is the exit. We just have to get to the exit. You control the little man using the cursor keys. 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 left, 6 down, 7 up, 8 is right. Keep to the path and try not to die. So, I've gone left, walked into the sign and died instantly. So you start again. And now take a step forward. We have to watch out for Asterix. This is not, however, Asterix from the Uderzo and Goscinny books. This is just the character Asterix who's trying to kill you. So you move your little man left and right with 5 and 8, and you just have to avoid bumping into the Asterix. And you're only going to get to move one space left or right at a time, and the whole screen scrolls up. So you have to time things very carefully. So you hold down the keys to go right. Each time you finish a line, everything moves up and you get a chance to move as well. It's all about the timing. So you need to keep going forward and down until you run out of Asterix, and then you get to the next bit. And unfortunately, Asterix got you. Are you playing this game or just falling asleep? Nightmare Park claims another victim. Now, I said no to another go and get told, tough luck, you're having another go. There is no way out of this game apart from victory or death or pressing the break key. So here we've encountered the deadly Lurgy, the lethal Lurgy, and they're out to get us. We have to get to the E on the bottom right hand corner, dodging through all the hedges before the time runs out without bumping into any of the bushes. And I've bumped into a bush, which may indeed be the lethal Lurgy itself, or just a deadly bush. So we start again. And now we've stumbled upon the mad mathematician. He calls himself Richard. He says, work out the sum fast. Now the clue here is that he is mad. So if you work this out properly, 2 times 6 is 12, 3 plus 4 is 7, 7 minus 12 is minus 5. That is not the answer he wants, because he is mad. He is so mad he doesn't understand what BODMAS is. The swine. So you enter 30, then you have to press enter when you're happy. And I got it right. I won't next time, but we'll soon see Richard. And here he is again. 7 plus 5 minus 2 times 1. Remember, BODMAS does not apply, it's just left to right. 7 plus 5 is 12, minus 2 is 10. So 1, 0, enter. Aha! Now the enigmatic etymologist says behind 2 doors are carnivorous caterpillars. Choose your path. This is very similar to the Monty Hall game. I chose door number 2, and there's a carnivorous caterpillar. Ho ha 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 ha! What's it like being a dinner for a caterpillar? Wah ha 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 ha! Nightmare Park claims another victim. And here again is the lethal Lurgy. We start top left, we have to get to bottom right. This is my favourite minigame so far, because you actually have control. I've died in this game before, however, it's my own fault for not being as careful as I should be. So when you go near lots of bushes, you slow down. You need to be the space just to the left of the E to exit. How did I make it? Because I'm a pro gamer, dude. Now it's the lecherous lasers, which have missed me. I'm not sure why they're lecherous, but certainly they missed me. Perhaps Disco Dan's involved. He's a lecherous chap. So we're nearly a third of the way across. Oh, lecherous lasers. And they've shot me, and they've got me. Because I have turned red. Frying tonight! Nightmare Park claims another victim. Now you have the Phantom Flasher. His name flashes before you. You must enter it all in capitals, which he doesn't do caps lock for you. And I'm an idiot, because obviously it was Steve. If you get the Flasher's name wrong, he kills you. We're back to the etymologist. Behind 2 doors are deadly caterpillars. Door number 1 is the wrong door. You die. You die. You die. However, it is possible to win. I asked my wife which door to choose. She said, I'll have door number 1, please. I said, are you sure? Yeah, door number 1, please, she said. So I said, all right, they will have door number 1. So we pressed door number 1. And she was right. How lucky can one man get? And we keep pushing forward, and now the final mini game is the horrendous hailstorm, where you stand there waiting for the bright white dots to fall down on your head or not. If they miss you, you're laughing. If they hit you, you die, and you have no control over your character. And unfortunately, the hailstorms have collided with me, which is a shame. And I've been hit by the horrendous hail, and I'm a Wally Brain. Nightmare Park claims another victim. So I think there's room here for improvement. So part of my research, I thought, well, has someone already typed in Nightmare Park? Because I've seen quite a few references to it on the internet. So obviously go to Spectrum Computing and see what we've got, and find there are several versions of Nightmare Park for the ZX Spectrum, a commercial release, and for the ZX81. However, these are not the same as this version of Nightmare Park, which is from the Typing Book from 1984. So it's interesting that it exists, but it's not the same. So I'm not quite sure where it came from. So I did a little bit more research and sifted around some more. So certainly this is not the version that I typed in. And there's a BBC version, BBC Micro version. So let's have a look at that. In the BBC Micro, this is copyright PV Gay from 1983. And it also notes on the right, author Bob Chappell. So apparently it was originally written by Bob Chappell for the Commodore PET. So let's have a look at this BBC version right away here. Let's have a bit of a play. And you can see we've zoomed in. We don't want the high score table, no thank you. Welcome to Nightmare Park, where many people have attempted to escape. I'm brave enough to enter. Look at this, all these colours and flashing. Good old BBC Micro. So again, here's the start, there's the end. We move north, south and east, and we get score every time we move. Oh, it's the Crusher. Find the correct letter to escape. So I'm pressing keys on the keyboard, hoping to find the right letter. And I've done it correctly, because I'm the best. The Gruesome Gambler challenges me to throw a higher or lower dice roll. He throws a 7. Do I go higher or lower? I thrown a 10. And I went for lower. Oh dear, I am dead. Nightmare Park claims another victim. I then went looking on the Lemon 64 forum and found a post by the Real Easter Bunny. And they replied in a very old post, so this was replied in 2013, and the earliest reference they could find was a typing basic listing by Bob Chappell for the Commodore PET in Personal Computer World magazine, August 1980, for the Commodore PET. So I go and have a look, and I find it, and it looks intriguing. So what do? Well, best thing to do is obviously go and type it in. And this is that version. This is for the Commodore PET, the 2101 version, or 2001, I forget. So I've typed it in, saved it to disk. Nightmare Park. The shortest route may not be the best. Can it only move north, south or east? Stay on the path. We are the little heart. You can clearly see the path. Uh-oh, multiplying Lurgy. We have 1 minute to reach the exit. This seems familiar. Here are the Lurgy. Let's avoid these. Oh, that was new. They actually multiply. So the longer you take, the more of them appear on the screen. Death rays. These are obviously similar to the Lecturous laser, so that wasn't particularly original. And they've got me. Now we have surrounded by Nadgers. Find numbers between 0 to 8 to exit. You press the numbers and hope that they get you in time. So it's very simple. Again, the Crusher. Only one letter will stop it. Each time you guess, the Crusher comes down. Can we get there in time? Can we escape? Or will the Crusher crush us? And we escaped. Oh, Maniacal Memory Tester. It flashes up some letters on the screen. And then you have to basically type them in again. I was already holding down the letter E because I wanted to go east. I got it right because I'm the best. Now we have Stampeding Stingers. L to go left, R for right. Now this is sneaky because The letter R to go right is on the left, and L to go left is on the right. So it's always like having reverse controls. But you have to avoid the stingers, get through them, and you're golden. First junction. Mad mathematician. Now this one is all pluses, so it's easier, but it really is only 10 seconds to answer. So you have to be really quite fast. So they made an improvement on that on the Specky version. Stampeding unicorns. Now the Commodore PET, you couldn't change the characters with what you have. So the use here is of the pi symbol, which is actually quite effective as a little horse. So you've got a tail, you've got a neck. That works really rather well, to be fair to Mr. Chappell. And this is something you don't get on the Spectrum version, and I'm glad you don't. It's just go back to the start, which doesn't kill you, but it's just annoying. And here we have the doors. The number 2 in the middle, that's my mistake, which I have fixed. Behind one door is a starving lion, so here you have much better odds. I chose door number 2, and there's a lion there. Whoops. We have the egotistical gorilla. This is very much like the Flasher, except there are much less names to worry about. There are only 4 names in the game, and this one I've only ever seen Clarence so far. And they get a bit of tension. That is right. If you get it wrong, you die. We have a variety of multiplying enemies. So you have the Lurgy. Here we have zigzaggers, which is the letter Z. But as you can see here, they spam up the screen quite effectively. You have to try and dodge between them. They've only got a minute to get to the edge. Can I get there? Oh, it's close. Oh, no, I've run into a zigzagger within sight of the exit. And that was the original of Nightmare Park. So we now know that Nightmare Park is a collection of mini-games which are difficult to outright crawl and just kill you off for a bit of fun. Now we know that's the sort of game it is, we can make some slight adjustments to make it a bit more fun, and I've done this in my deluxe version. And as I always like to do with deluxe versions, I always have to give them a loading screen. So you can see here we've got the loading. We have a rudimentary slide, a rudimentary roundabout, and of course, it's Nightmare Park, Abandon Hope, or you enter because we're at night. And it's evil flashing. The game only takes around 2 minutes to load. We've also added a font. This is one of the fonts from Roberto Colombo's Charbank. I've used the Gothic type font because it's suitably horrific. And the text isn't that critical to read. It's not, if it's a text adventure, it'll be a bit too ornate for us to use. But for this sort of game, it's fine. I didn't like that the original was too quiet, so we start off with a bit of Bach, staccato and fugue, and straight away into our first challenge, the enigmatic etymologist with the 2 doors and the 3 doors and the 2 caterpillars. So I've changed this, so I chose door number 1. It then opens one of the other doors that contains a caterpillar, and you get to switch or stick. This is very similar to the Monty Hall door problem. And you can either keep the original door or choose a new door. So you get a bit more choice, a bit more interaction. You also, whenever you move, you get a little noise for a footstep. The lasers, I've made them a bit more range of motion, so you got a bit more chance of winning with the lasers. And the alternate paths, if you're not on the main path, then you get less chance of an encounter. But the longer you travel, the more chance of encounter there is, but it's a little bit safer. And here's the horrendous hailstorm. This is actually untouched. I couldn't really think of a way of adding agency. You could move left or right, but it really doesn't make much difference because the hail isn't falling as in so much it just displays it on top of you. So it may land on you, it may not do. It's just pure luck. And in this case, I was lucky. And in this case, we are unlucky. So when we die, what music should we expect to hear? That's right, the funeral march. We were hit by the horrendous hail, so you get the funeral march. A bit more fun, I think. Let's have a look at some of the other games you have. Or do you like a bit of toccata? Here's the lasers again. And they've got me this time, so they can still kill you. So now the Phantom Flasher name appears more than once. Originally it appeared for a fraction of a second. Makes it a bit easier. In the original for the Commodore PET, there are only 4 possible names for the egotistical gorilla. The Phantom Flasher has 20 different names. And it appearing for, if you blink, you have literally missed it and have died. This is now the Lethal Lurgy. I've added a bit of noise. The clock now is actually based on the system clock, which updates. There's still a timer. Also, Lurgy appear on the screen as you move around. So they are multiplying a little bit as well. It's a bit more dynamic. Now watch out for Asterisk. This is tricky because you have to time your moves very carefully. And I've added a little beep, a very small beep. It has slowed it down slightly, but not by much. And the beep slowly ascends in tone as you progress. As you can see, the asterisk for the Gothic type font are actually a lot nicer than the standard one. So I thought that actually was quite pleased with that. So the aim here is to try and get your way through the position, get your way through the asterisk, and sometimes you are just going to die. There is no way through. Asterisks will just kill you. We've updated the mathematician. We've added brackets, was actually accurate. There's also some issues where if you made a mistake, you can delete. You can now delete. Also, occasionally, the numbers on the thing could actually be negative. We can now let you have negative numbers. Also, the original version had a time limit. It says work out the sum fast. There wasn't really. There was a time limit. It was quite generous. But here I've added the use of the system timer to actually work it out. So 1 plus 1 is 2. Minus 4 is minus 2. Times 0. Well, that's just 0, isn't it? Yes, I think that's right. Because of good old BODMAS. We like a bit of BODMAS, don't we? Brackets of division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. So S put 0 in and then press enter. And unfortunately, we're too slow. The answer was 0. That's based on actual system time, not just you pressing enter fast enough. Back to the lecherous lasers. So I've made changes. I think make some bits a bit more fun, some bits a little bit easier, some bits a bit more challenging. But the question is, have I made the game better or have I made the game worse? Consider the original Spectrum version and then the original version of the Commodore PET. These changes to make the game more fun or less fun. You can try all 3 versions courtesy of Jim Blimey's website, but do let me know in the comments below if you think I've done a good thing or a bad thing, or what you would do differently. Anyway, thank you for watching. Happy Halloween. And enjoy the final song. Follow the blood trail down to Nightmare Park, listening to the sound of change. October autumn night, vampires flying by, listening to the sound of pain. The walls are closing in. Did you ever think that we could be so close and smothered? The terror's in the air, can feel it everywhere.
lurking in the endless dark. Take me to the horror of the torment on a gory night, where the children of the night dream away in the nightmare park.